yesterday this box arrived. I'm still waiting on a driveline. I think we were told 2 weeks, and that was about 8 weeks ago, maybe a little bit more. So I ordered a gas tank. So we'll see what we have here and see if we can start to figure out how to get that installed in Project Double Trouble. We got this one from Summit Racing Equipment. We buy all of our parts. None of our parts are donated to us. We're not sponsoring anybody. But this is tank UTN2T. It's a stainless gas tank, universal. And it's just under $300. So let's get this out of the box. And see what this looks like. If you'll recall, we were putting a electronic fuel injection system in this project, and so we need to make sure that we had a gas tank that was able to work off electronic fuel injection. I guess that was our fueler neck hitting the floor. Our bag tied in a nice tight knot for us. Let's make sure we're not cutting anything important. So there's our pressure release, and that looks like our fuel tank, and there's some fuel tank sender gaskets and hardware, and our CNC gas cap. And just some simple instructions basically telling us that when we install it, it needs to be vertical. I think we can handle that. Couple of straps. They're not necessarily pre-bent to the right location. They're pre-bent to fit inside of the box. So we'll straighten them out and figure out how to use them based on the mount that we decide to build. Not gonna make this one easy on me. That is the tank that we'll be installing. So we have the top of it. We'll go ahead and order a fuel sender and all of that stuff. In my box of parts that came with the Holley Avenger, we have the fuel pump. So we'll figure out where we're going to put that. So maybe we'll take this tank out to the frame and see if we can figure out a spot where we want to install it. Well, the location of the fuel tank was an easy choice. We have our rear differential, we have our bumper, we have nothing in this big cavity underneath the bed. So we have just about 8 inches in front of us and 8 inches behind us. So what I'm going to do is figure out what bed I'm going to put on here. I have a narrow bed and I have the stock Willys bed. And we've also talked about whether we're going to shorten the bed. So if we shorten the bed, the tank will move up a little bit. If we use one of the other two versions, then I just want to make sure that the fuel tank is as far back as I can safely put it with the bumper and other attachments, because the fuel hole is right in the center, and we'll aim it towards the back, and we'll put a spring pressure released fueler cap on the floor in the bed of the truck. So we can simply walk up to the back of the bed and fill from there. And that way we don't have to bring the neck across and out through the body. And I think that's going to be the easiest and the cleanest solution. So I'll grab the camera off the tripod and give you a better view of what it looks like in here. And then I'm going to have to grab the straps and figure out, what kind of cross bracing I'm going to need. And in order to do that, I have to find the bed that I'm going to use. We've got a couple of them lying around here, so we'll get on that. And then I will show you, we did install the pumpkin on the rear differential so that as soon as the drive line does get here, we can bolt up the drive lines so that we can figure out where the, I forgot the name of it, but where the coupling unit, where the two drive shafts come together. Yeah, we'll figure out where that bracket is going to be, and we'll get that one made and installed as well. So I'm sorry that this project is taking so long, but it seems to be we are waiting for parts a lot longer than we should be. But at some point in time, we will get this thing rolling much, much quicker. It is still my goal to have it done by next year's 2024 SEMA show. So I'll bring the camera around, show you where this is seated, and we'll go from there. All right, so here's the view from my stairs here, looking down upon it. You can see I've got plenty of room to move the tank forward and back, and I actually have a good amount of space. I'm guessing about 3 inches, it's not centered, about 3 inches on each side of it. So I can move it around a little bit in this spot. The brackets you see there on the frame are mounts for the bed. I don't know whether I'm going to use those or, like I said, change the bed up a little bit or move the bed forward or back. So we won't know that until we get the cab on, and we can't get the cab on until we get the bracket for the drivetrain. But I did tell you, we did get the pumpkin in the Ford 9-inch. I changed out the spindle there so that the spindle on the rear differential matches the spindle on the transmission, and then of course they'll match on all of the drive lines, and so we'll only have the one size that we have to worry about. Good morning. It's a chilly morning in Southern Oregon today, but I have a few hours and I thought I'd come out to the shop and see what we can get done on Project Double Trouble. When I bought the V8 that has the Holley Avenger on it, it came with a box of parts, and there's a little bit of everything in the box. all the harnesses. I have a distributor in here, the controller, and a fuel pump and fuel filter. Today I'm going to take the Holley Fuel Pump and get it installed on the frame. We have the fuel tank, and I'm looking to get a few more parts for it, the fuel sender and that kind of stuff. But I need to keep moving ahead. Don't have a drive line. It was supposed to be done this week. It, of course, wasn't. But let's install a fuel pump today, and we'll just keep moving ahead. SEMA is coming up in a month, and I'm really looking forward to going down and checking that out and getting some ideas for the truck at the show. And hopefully, if all goes well, a year from now, we'll be taking this truck to the SEMA show in Las Vegas. So let's go out and install a fuel pump. Okay, so we're back out at the truck, Project Double Trouble. I've got my fuel tank sitting here on the floor jack at the back of the truck. You can see we've got our differential and our coilovers and everything here. So we have to figure out the best location to mount the fuel pump. Holley has a massive fuel pump, but remember, this is electronic fuel injection. It's got to suck the fuel out of the tank, push it the entire length of this truck frame, and get it up and into the engine and supply enough fuel to get the job done. So it does say a couple of things in the install. One is as closest to the fuel tank as you can get it. So we have a perfect spot right here. Otherwise, we have our coilovers, our rear differential, our 4-link. We're about 4 or 5 feet further forward. So we're going to opt to put it here. The second thing it asks for is for this to be lower than the bottom of the fuel tank. Right now my fuel tank is sitting a little low because I don't have a bed on here and I don't know how high I can go. So we're going to install this as low on the frame as we can and hopefully get the truck or get the fuel cell up when we actually install it the final time. So let's mark 4 holes. We've got, I don't know that you can see it here, but we've got 4 holes on the mounting bracket that's going to go up against the frame. So we'll mark the 4 holes, we'll drill it out. I'm going to put nut certs into the frame. That way we can remove the fuel pump should something go wrong. Easy peasy. As well as, of course, we're going to take it off when we paint or powder coat the frame. So first things first, let's mark 4 holes. We'll get down as low on the frame as we safely can and allow space for those nut certs. And there's 1, and there's 2. Oh, I can't even see the bottom ones. 3 and 4. Okay. So we've got our 4 holes marked. Next thing we're going to do is get us a drill. Drill out these 4 holes. I've got some step bits. We'll step up the size of the hole until we have the right size for the nut certs that we're going to use in this application. And then we will hopefully bolt this thing in. So before we start drilling these, let's punch the 4 dots that I marked on the frame, and that'll keep our drill bit from wandering all over the frame. And we're going to start with a little 1/8 inch bit, and then we'll step it up. And let's go to 3/16. And now we'll move it up to 1/4 inch. Okay, so we got 4 holes started. The next thing I'm going to do is go grab my 4 bolts so that I can figure out the size of nutsert I need. And then we'll drill the 4 final holes. They're the right size for the nutsert. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Okay, so I went with a 5/16 18 thread bolt. I have some 3/4 inches. Depending on how this works out, I may have to go and get some 1 inchers, but I think 3/4 is going to do it. So we have a nutsert. That's the 5/16 18 thread. We have the nutsert tool that we'll use to install them. And so the next thing we need to do is drill out our holes. We'll use the step bit to get them the right size to insert the nutsert. Well, that one went in there like butter. All right. Yep, then our nutsert fits into that hole, and then we'll install that with a tool. So let's drill 3 more holes, and then we'll install them. All right, there's 4 holes, 4 nutserts. Now we will use our nutsert tool to set these in place. Now, if you've never used a nutsert tool, there are homemade versions, so you can take a bolt, a couple of nuts, and you can just crank the bolt with your socket. This particular version, you screw the nutsert onto this tool. Let's get it all the way in there. And then, like a rivet gun, you just pump the handle, and it expands the nutsert inside of the frame, locking it into position and giving you basically a nut inside of your frame. So let me step inside of the frame and get these installed. And see if I can bring this along here. That one won't get you there. All right. Now we can do it. I'm not really strong today. That's a workout. So the knob I'm turning is attached to the same size bolt thread, and that is now installed in the frame. And so now I can take my bracket, if this were my bracket, put it against the frame and install the bolts. So I'm going to do that 3 more times, and then we'll come back and install the fuel pump. All right, so the nice thing about doing it this way is our frame is still nice and clean. When we go to powder coat it or paint it, we'll grab some surplus nuts, or bolts, I'm sorry. We'll go to powder coat it, we'll grab some surplus bolts, we'll thread them in there to protect the thread, send it out to have it treated, and then all we have to do is back the bolts back out and install whatever is going to go here. We use this same system up front for the bar that runs across the frame that holds the transmission in place. And we'll probably use the same system for the bar that we're going to install when and if our driveline ever gets done, to hold the middle spindle where the 2 drive lines come together. So let's grab a fuel pump and see how closely we came to actually getting the holes in the right place. I'm still amazed at the size of this fuel pump. It's going to move a lot of fuel. All right, so it's time to move down to the floor to see the bottom 2 holes. These are tight in here, so it's going to be an open-end wrench application. This one needs a little bit of tweaking. So let me grab a wrench and a pair of needle nose just to tweak that bracket just a little bit. And once again, we'll be back. Okay, while we were away, I realized that the way I had installed these brackets, this bolt was on top, and that would have made it next to impossible, not impossible, but next to impossible with the bed on here to get in and take the fuel pump out of the bracket if we just wanted to replace the fuel pump without taking all the brackets and everything off. So I took the brackets off, turned them over, and reinstalled them. And now we'll get them bolted on, and then we will slide the fuel pump in there. This is a pretty easy project. I think anybody can do it. I am no mechanic by any stretch of the imagination, but I can read an instruction manual, have a little bit of common sense, and if I can do it, you can do it. And that's true for most of this project. There are some things that, you know, like building a driveline. I've seen people do it in their shops on their YouTube videos and stuff, and I could probably do it, but I want to make sure that it's balanced and it's not going to wobble when I get up to speed and any of that kind of stuff. So some things, yeah, you leave to the experts. Other things, step out there, try it. You never know what you might be able to accomplish. I would have never thought if somebody would have asked me years ago, do you think you can build a car from scratch? It sounds daunting, but how's the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you build a car? One bolt at a time. All right, I've looked this thing over. Up, here we go. H11, and it points that way. So that was the way I had installed it, assuming that our leads needed to go up to the front of the vehicle. So we're going to slide this bad boy right into here. And that's where our fuel pump is going to sit. I'm going to install, tighten these bad boys. Ready, tighty, lefty, loosey. Get it back on the nut. There we go. So later today, I'm probably going to go online and order a few more parts for this thing, and we'll just start building it in whatever order parts come in. I had hoped to be able to do it from front to rear, and so I didn't miss a step or do something, forget something. But frankly, waiting for people to deliver parts or make parts is becoming more problematic than I'm wanting to deal with today. So let's just get the next part of it. I think what I'll probably do is order the E-stop electric brakes. We'll install them up on the other side. We'll end up running power up the driver's side of the vehicle, run fuel lines and stuff up the passenger side of the vehicle. But I'm going to put an electric emergency brake or an electric parking brake on this thing. So maybe I'll go up and order that, and we'll get that in. And it's going to be the similar install process. We're just going to install it up on the other side, and then the cables from the rear brakes will run up to it, and a wire will run from it to the dash, and it'll be the push button emergency brake. So here's our Holley fuel pump. if you know anybody at Holley, I need a few more Holley parts. Maybe you can tell them to reach out to me and hook me up on a sending unit. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. I know I'm cutting my head off on this, but actually, let me adjust here. All right. So that's how we install a fuel pump. That's the Holley Fuel Pump. It's got a long ways to send the fuel up there to the electronic fuel injection. So this should get her done. Next time, we'll probably install the electric parking brake. I'll get one of those ordered this afternoon. And who knows, maybe we'll have a driveline next time. I keep saying that. We keep waiting. It's only been, what, 8 weeks for a 2-week project. Anyway, stay tuned. Thanks for coming back. And I'm going to go do a randomizer. I'm going to figure out who made a comment in the last video that wins the zombie hammer, and we'll get that sent out to you. We'll put something down in the comment section of who the lucky winner is. And thank you for tuning in, and please subscribe and encourage others so we can grow this channel and build some good cars together. Have a great day.